All's good?
That's good.
Yeah. So you just do open. I'll just open, just saying hello, and then share a little bit about the.
And then it's
Belt.
page 48, right?
Yeah, 48 on your
I
end,
think
but
it's
I can
still
actually open it
downloaded.
also.
Okay.
Yeah. So just in case, it's just a backup.
Just in backup.
Yeah. As well, you just open it.
On,
Just
and
a
I can
backup.
just let you. I just moved the share for you. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that one. Right.
Okay.
So it's very So okay. And then after that, then we'll just continue with the conversation. Each one can actually don't forget the recording.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then just let them know that we'll just record this one for for feedback. So there's nothing, we're not going to use it anything rather than.
Hi, Mel.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, we cut a few big cups.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, yes.
Are you home right now?
I am.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Oh,
Hi, Mel.
Hi, how are you? Yeah.
Oops, I think I'm on. Let me. Are you home right now? I need to.
Yeah.
Are you home right now? Oops. Oh, there's echo somewhere.
Oh.
Right. We have to ask them to unmute themselves.
It smells so good.
Does everyone have their coffee on? Their coffee mode on? I'm having quite a few right here.
I was only able to make 3.
So we're just gonna wait for a few more minutes and see, and then wait for everyone to come in.
Sounds good.
Jessica, we have Sandra. Hi, Cassandra. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm off again. How's everybody doing today?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Cass, what's up?
I'm just spilling water from my kettle all over the place.
Same.
Yeah, I tried to set up something to make it look fancy and grind my beans and yeah. Had a little bit of a spill. Cass, what's up? Just spilling water from my kettle all over the place.
What?
I tried to set up something to make it look fancy and grind my beans and
Hi. Hello.
spill. Are you guys hearing a bit of a delay?
Yes. You might need headphones, Cass.
So someone probably had the YouTube on.
Oh, and it's on a 7-second delay.
Yeah, so if someone has a YouTube on, it's kind of like.
Are you guys hearing a bit of a delay? Yeah, it's not me.
There, we hear the delay.
When my mouth moves, the words come out.
Oh, and it's
Right,
on
Rebecca?
a delay. Yes.
So if someone has a YouTube on, it's kind of like.
Are you guys hearing a bit of a delay? Yeah, it's not me.
There, we hear the delay.
When my mouth moves, the words come out.
So who is actually running the
Right,
YouTube on?
Rebecca?
Yes.
I'm not running it. No.
Not me. Arita's muted, so it's not her.
I don't even know what YouTube is. You guys, my coffee cup's empty.
That's because all your beans are on your background. Oh,
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Bud Steve.
I don't even know what YouTube is.
Hello, Lisa.
Guys, my coffee cup's empty. I think the last thing anybody wants to hear is me twice.
On your background. You said it. Hi, Bud Steve. What happened with the delay?
You only have to live with me sometimes, Rebecca. I have to live with myself every single day.
Every day.
Try that one. What he wants to hear is me twice. On your background.
Yeah, I know. Are you happy
You
with the
said
YouTube
it.
on? No. Cool. All right.
You only have to live with me sometimes, Rebecca. I have to live with myself every single day. Try that one. And he wants to hear his meat.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good.
So just to make sure everyone not having the YouTube on.
You only have to live with me sometimes, Rebecca. I have to live with myself every single day. Try that one.
Okay, is it good now?
I'm good.
Okay, it's good. All right. So make sure everyone not having the.
You only have to live with me sometimes, Rebecca. I have to live with myself every single day. Try that one. Okay. Is it good now? Okay, it's
Oh my God, David was there and now he's there.
What?
How did he do that?
Magic.
David, that was crazy.
Huh?
Wait, what?
All right, we're just playing a little magic.
God, David Bloom shenanigans.
All right, I think we.
How did he do that? David, that was crazy.
Okay, hi everyone. I think we have everyone.
Hi, David.
Wait, what?
So let's see who are
God,
here.
David Bloom shenanigans. How did he do that? David, that was crazy.
Okay, hi everyone. I think we have
Hi,
everyone.
David.
So, David, by process of elimination, it either has to be Lisa, Melody, or Rebecca, or yourself that's got their YouTube on in the background.
I don't have anything on.
Or
no.
me, but I know.
Mine is gone. No.
So I'm on and see if. Let's wait for 7 seconds. No? Okay. All right. Thanks. All right, let's Lisa. So I'm on. Let's wait for 7 seconds. So it's either me or Lisa. It's Lisa. Could it be me still? Wait for 7 seconds. So it's either me or Lisa.
So Lisa, mute yourself, and then we'll know it's David, and we can blame him. We can point right at him. We can all point.
Wait for 7 seconds. So it's either me or Lisa. So it's me then.
So Lisa, mute yourself, and then we'll know it's David, and we can blame him. We can point right at him. We
Okay.
can all point.
Right. Wait for 7 seconds. So it's either me or Lisa. So it's me then.
I've never experienced anything like that. Anybody else have any suggestions for David?
Yeah, I have to shut down my. Let me just shut off my. Oh, okay. So I think we're
Never
good.
experienced anything like that. Anybody else have any suggestions for David?
Oh, yeah, I have to shut down my. Okay, so
Experienced anything like that? Anybody else have any suggestions for David?
All right, I think I found a problem. I have another browser that's on that's, so sorry about that. So I think we're good to go now. So hi
We all
everyone,
learned something.
welcome to the first Java Bean Talk. So today we're excited to talk about wonderful coffee from Indonesia, and there's a great variety of the coffee from Indonesia. And right now it's so right now, like I just said, we will Archipelago is like the store that actually import a lot of amazing product and including the fair trade coffee from Indonesia. So we just start, a few events by introducing the coffee to everyone, and then I think a lot of us actually really enjoy drinking coffee. So that's why I invited, you guys here to share. Actually, our host Lisa from Nusa, she is the vice president of Archipelago, and she also run Nusa Coffee in Kitsilano. And she has like years experience, importing coffee and talking to the farmers from Indonesia, and just like, to just find the best like flavors of coffee, to Canada. So hi Lisa. So I'm just gonna ask Lisa to say to start with a few words. Lisa.
Okay. Thank you, David. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? I'm so excited today. Thank you so much for agreeing to actually be with us here to really have just a casual conversation about Indonesian coffee. I believe that we sent you some of the coffee samples that we're so excited to hear your feedback about the samples that we sent you. But before we do that, I'd like to actually it's a surprise because we don't know whether it's going to happen or not. I actually invited the master roaster that is from Indonesia. He is one of our partner producers in Archipelago, and then the one who is also really, really keen in, creating the techniques, the roasting techniques of Indonesian coffee, because he's very passionate about it. He actually wrote a book about how to roast the coffee from Indonesia. Part of the reason why he's doing it is because he knows that Indonesian coffee is quite unique, and also probably it's not so much that distribute in North America, US and Canada. So it's good for us to actually bring him in here. He's please welcome Mr. Steve Hidayat from Copy President. Hello, Steve. Say hello.
Hi Steve, how are you?
Yeah, Ibu Lisa for the introduction.
Right.
I'm just a simple roaster here in Indonesia, small one.
So Steve, you also can probably, if you have some more questions about Indonesian coffee, he is on the ground with farmers from across Indonesia, from North Sumatra to Papua. Some of you probably tasted the Papua Arabica. Steve, is the one who actually roasted the Papua Arabica. And I think there is a Java and then also Sumatra. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. For now, let me just share quickly with you about the, Okay, David, can you share the, what we call it, across the bean belt? So those are the 7 regions of coffee in Indonesia that you just probably, for the sake of this conversation, then you'll be familiar a little bit. Hi, David, can you help share?
Yeah. Let me just open that quickly. And because I had to shut it off. Okay, so it's in page 48, right?
Yeah. So the latest book about Indonesian coffee is actually done in Indonesia. We call it kopi. Kopi is KOPI is the Indonesian word for coffee. So this book, I really enjoyed this book, reading about the history and right. So part of this book here, I'm not going to share the 284 pages, but I think this is something that probably give you a little bit more idea about the where the beans come from. So they're like a 7 region that grows a very good coffee in Indonesia. One is the one in North Sumatra, which is the number 1. Some of you get the Sumatra. And number 2 is the Southern Sumatra. Those are a lot of Robustas is actually growing on that land. The third one here is Java. This is why we actually titled the beans, the Java bean talk, because it's not only, the word means beverage, coffee beverage, but it's actually the name of the island in Indonesia where the coffee came. Coffee first exported, I think, to Western Europe at that time. And then, where is it, David?
So yeah, it's
The number 4 is you probably heard at Nusa Coffee we offer the Flores that actually comes from that region, the Lesser Sunda Island. And then there is the
file is a little big, so it's actually
oh, okay. All right. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We just want to make it a bit quicker along this conversation. If you have questions, we can always come back to that. So, right. So, probably, do you guys want to sort of like start just sharing your feedback, or you want to hear from Steve a little bit about, about Indonesian coffee, or how do we want to make this work? This is really up to you.
I would love to hear from Steve and from yourself a little bit about what is different about Indonesia, and perhaps if there was kind of like wine with terroirs, if you could pick 2 of the coffees that we've tried. I mean, I've had the papaya and the Sumatra, and just from my standpoint, how I'm tasting it, I'm not an experienced coffee taster. I'm an experienced wine taster. So it's a very similar process. But I'm wondering if you can maybe talk about the terroir of the coffee, like those 2 different regions, and juxtapose themselves against each other. And then maybe how you handle roasting so that the flavors of each of those regions are brought out without eliminating, the specialty of that region. Does that make sense? It was a bit of a long question.
That's okay. I think Steve already,
Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about.
we can start with one of the reasons. How about let's start with Papua. Lisa?
So you guys want to know about Papua, right? Or Java?
The Papua, I think. Do you want
Okay.
a Papua and Java? Is that what it is? So then you can compare the terroir.
Yeah. Well, Indonesia is very lucky, I can say. We have many kind of coffee in Indonesia. It goes from Gayo, the very west of Indonesia, to Papua, the very east of Indonesia. Each region offer different kind of variety of flavor, body, aftertaste. So if I say the wine, I say what you call it, the toa. How you say that the wine? You say the toa or the cabernet or I think
The
maybe
terroir, where it's grown. Yeah.
yeah. And Indonesia also has the same thing, like for example the Papua. If you can notice the character of Papua, the coffee can offer like a black tea flavor with a medium body and a clean aftertaste. And at the end, maybe you can get a hint of the flower in the Papua. That's the characteristic of Papua. And Papua itself has so many kind of a region also in the area. We call it Wamena. In Wamena, there's so many like what not from the northern east is Nabire, Bogiai, Mipago, Baliem. Each region also different kind of slightly different kind of characteristic. But for myself, I don't want to be too much specific into a small region. I would love to just to gather up the whole thing into a little bit bigger area, like let's say Wamena. That that Wamena already represent a good flavor of Papua. That's what I like to offer usually to my customer. And the way I offer it to the customer, I roast the coffee through the many kind of experiments because I need to know to bring up the highest profile. And each customer also usually asking for different kind of profile, a little bit profile. Let's say the customer say, I would like to brew the coffee to the espresso machine. Then I need to adjust a little bit of my roasting profile, my roasting technique to bring up the highest to the espresso machine. If my customer asking me, okay, I would like to serve this coffee for brewing, dripper in the cafe or in the restaurant, then I need to adjust a little bit with my roasting technique so I can bring up the most to the dripper equipment. So that's why in the coffee there's no such thing as a specific only A, B, C. So everything can be adjusted a little bit. Everything is so liquid. Perhaps that's answered a bit of your question, and I don't know.
How is Cassandra? Does it answer your
Yeah,
question?
that's great. Yeah, that tells me a lot. Thank you very much.
So I want
you.
to know who has tried Papua, and then do they have any comment, any like feedback, and then any like tasting notes that we can share with us?
I'm drinking it right now. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm doing all the talking as usual. I'm tasting it right now. I ground it just freshly, and I did it in a press. I don't know if that's the best way, but that was what I had on hand. I don't have an espresso machine, and it's so fresh. There's a lot of kind of herby green notes in here, like just a herbaceousness that's there, along with the obvious kind of cocoa and chocolate. It's funny when you talk about wine, you talk about espresso. You don't really talk about grapes. So you taste coffee, it tastes like coffee, but it's so much more. So there's even like some very red fruit happening, like a very black cherry at the very back of my palate. Yeah.
So anyone else like to share?
Smooth, very smooth.
How about Tom? Tom, have you tried any of the Papua coffee?
Yeah, I cupped all three this morning, actually. I actually have the Peaberry right now, so that's probably a little easier for me to talk about. The one you're talking about right now was probably a little bit too dark for me to really pick out anything other than like heavy molasses kind of flavors. Sweetness to it, really big, bold kind of mouthfeel. But I didn't get much else out of it other than that. I'm not great at darker coffees, though. That's my problem. I like them kind of weird and bright and fruity and, like acidic, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. The fourth wave of the coffee drinker.
Sorry, say again?
Maybe you're part of the fourth wave generation of the coffee drinker. The fourth wave, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's what people usually call it, third or fourth wave of the generation. Maybe you like more on the medium or to light roasting.
Like kind of light, almost green.
Sure, everybody have their different preference,
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, sure.
I'm old. I'm the first generation.
Are you, Cassandra? Did you brew it with milk, or sorry, did you put milk or sugar or anything with it?
I didn't. I wanted to taste it on its own. I do often put like a little bit of milk or cream in my coffee, not when I'm tasting it first though. So, and I do like a darker roast. I also like a, when it comes to beer, I like a dark beer as well. So this reminds me more of like a stout, with like less of the kind of golden flavors and more of that roasty, toasty, almost like a fire toasted barrel happening here, and it's just making me all warm and cozy, and it's kind of the Cabernet of coffee in my glass right now.
If we're comparing it to beers, I would go with if you've ever had a Schwarzbier, like a dark lager, you often get. I find a lot of the kind of the stouts and the porters, they've worked out how to make it kind of sweet these days, but the black lagers are they have like a bitter taste to them from the hops, not a bad bitter taste.
And so what was the name of the beer that you mentioned?
Schwarzbier, or a Schwarzbier. I was trying to pronounce it correctly, but I probably butchered it.
Yeah, no, it's not. Oh, I see. Okay.
Dark lager. 33 Acres has a really good one.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you mean. Now I see it when it's spelled. I recognize it. But no, I haven't had a lot of those beers. I'm looking it up on my other screen here. So roast, like a roasted malt rather than the hops, the roasted malt. So that's
okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
The pea berry and the Papua, side by side right now, and I can Papua is a lot darker, and then pea berry, it's just more fragrant, has a lot more notes. I know. Melody has tried the pea berry as well. So Melody, do you have?
Yeah, I actually have the pea berry here. I totally agree with you. Like the pea berry is, in terms of like darker notes, like nutty flavors. I feel like the Papua. I'm a huge dark coffee drinker, so this one really stands out to me a lot more. It's very fragrant.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome.
So the pea berry is actually the source is from Gayo, the same source with our Sumatra Gayo that we've been actually importing for the past 2 years. But of course, because it's pea berry, so then it's more like on a specialty side of the Gayo coffee. What do you think, Tom? It's actually roasted by Pacific Coffee Roasters, so it's a local.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know those guys. This one was my preference out of the three. The first thing that, not talking about the flavor notes, the first thing that I thought was kind of cool about it is when I see pea berry, I expect these really, really tiny little coffee beans. Mm-hmm. And these were, as far as pea berry goes, these were much smaller than the rest of the three that you sent to me, but they were actually quite big for a pea berry. And I think it's probably the first Indonesian pea berry that I've ever had. And this one was much more towards my roast level. I would still put this in the kind of darker category. I'd say medium dark. I know it's labeled as medium, but that my kind of scale is a little bit off than most people because I drink so much light stuff. I got some floral kind of stuff coming through. When it's hot, I didn't get really anything, but I brewed this about 45 minutes ago. So it's kind of lukewarm right now. And that's when all of the floral notes come out. Nice. There's some fruit stuff trying to come through that I can't quite work out what it is. Mm-hmm. And then there's still that kind of honeycomb, molasses, sugary, darker side of things that come out to me as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tom. I think I was in discussion also with Steve, about our local roasters here. We wanted to actually work with more local roasters also for our beans. So I'm hoping that we can actually bring more of the flavors of the pea berry, like you said. Like right now, I think we are at 45 at that for that, but I think the machine is too big. for the roastery. So I think they're like, yeah, big machine. Anyway, so we'll find some more like a micro roasters and then see if we can actually bring more of the flavors. I really love it. Also, I think the pea berry is really great, and of course the Papua. I like it also. We can just but this is good, Steve, because you can actually have more like feedback from the locals here, right? About what they prefer and all that. So yeah, I'm so excited. Go on.
I have a question actually about, I guess, all of them. Is there a reason why, in my experience, I find that Indonesian coffee is often roasted towards the darker end of things? Now, I might be wrong with that. I might not just be trying the right coffee. Is there a specific reason why I keep coming across that? Or I guess why I can't find that many roasters doing light roast Indonesian coffee?
Well, according to my research about Indonesian coffee, the Indonesian coffee is very well known about the medium to high body, the big body. So that coffee, that bodiness can be bring up with the darker roast a bit. That before, Indonesia only well known for Java and Sumatra. Those two regions offer a very good body and very lingering aftertaste. That's what people love about the Indonesian coffee. And that's actually that characteristic is very hard to be copied to other countries. Right now, Colombia is trying to make the same kind of taste with their own coffee. They have a big, heavy body and quite lingering aftertaste. They cannot copy that taste from Indonesia. So that's a very specific characteristic of Indonesian coffee that's very hard to find in other countries, very other regions. That's why the darkness, that's usually bring up the bodiness and the aftertaste. But with the new request from the new generation, at the third and fourth generation, that we can always adjust. That's only personal preference. And usually, what I notice, if they go back, to the same thing again, after they go into the light, yes, it's coming back to the dark again. So that's not only a cycle, a cycle of the trend, I would say. So it depends on how you want to drink it right now. It's fine, If you like the flower, the flower or the berryness of the coffee, of course we can always roast the coffee or to process the coffee to your taste, And Indonesia has that kind of coffee also. I say for the pea berry that you got is very special, I would say, because pea berries only grow about 2% in the coffee. So they have to select the pea berry out from the whole harvest, just for that specific pea berry type. Maybe that I can answer a little bit of your question.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think that, so in my experience, I don't know too much about Indonesian coffee, but I've had lots of light roast coffees that have had a really big body to it as well. So it'd be curious to know if that just happens to be that particular coffee, maybe it's Ethiopian or African or something like that, if that can translate over to Indonesian, because I love light roast coffee, and I find that it brings out all sorts of fun flavors. But I don't think I've ever had an Indonesian coffee roasted light. So I'd be really intrigued to know, even if it didn't have that big body to it, I'd still want to try it.
Yeah, there is a roaster in US that I know. They roast the Indonesian coffee to the medium light roast profile.
Yeah.
And,
cool. What are they called?
For example, the Stumptown, they roast the coffee medium light. They roast the coffee.
Okay, I know Stumptown. Yeah.
Yeah, Stumptown now they're being bought out by the CB or something, German company. Yeah, but they roast a medium light coffee, Indonesian light coffee.
Okay.
They, for example, what else? While Folger always dark for Indonesian coffee. Starbucks right now is shifting from dark to the medium right now for Indonesian coffee.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we can definitely do more on the lighter roasting level for the Indonesian coffee, especially with us right now. We are actually having 4 partner producers for the coffee. That is that they will bring not only the a great one, beans, but we are also going to work together also with Steve for the more on the specialty aspect to it, which I think that probably like the Gayo pea berry that you are tasting, that probably going to be more and more on that end where there are a lot of creativity also, from the growers in Indonesia. I just spoke with one of the other Gayo farmers, and then they're actually bringing the Gayo wine. So there is like one. Steve probably has more information about how the specialty coffee in Indonesia is also growing, and how people are actually uh, uh, grown, planted based on the request, right? Like, the buyer can actually request the coffee beans, and then they will do they can grow that plant based on the request. Does it really happening in Indonesia, right, Steve?
Yes, yeah. But the Gayo wine is a very happening right now. Or actually, last year already. That Gayo wine is a special process that we make into the coffee beans. We post harvest the beans, what we call with Gayo wine, because after we harvest the beans, we process the beans and keep the beans for about 60 days in the fermentation tank. So 60 days, everything can be happening in 60 days. Either the beans can come out good, or the beans come out very bad with a lot of mold growing on it. So that's the thing. You need a special technique for processing that kind of beans. So right now we're still studying, still learning it, but I think we come out really good with the wine process. And the Gayo wine now usually come out taste or like say the wrapping tastes like maybe berry or fruitiness, and very there's no alcohol involved in the Gayo wine, so there's a very clean taste, and I would say the medium body, not too thick, in the Gayo wine, and perhaps you should try it, more. So you can
Oh,
ask
yes,
me.
we will. We're actually ordering it with the Gayo, with the Arinagata. They're actually processing it right now for the Gayo wine.
Yeah, maybe you can ask him how many days that he process the beans. Is it,
Yeah.
especially in the fermentation tank. Sometimes if you say, okay, I would love to have it a light wine taste. You can process it maybe only 30 days. If you want it more deeper, maybe you can go to the 60 days. But the longer it is, the more risk for the farmer, the processor, to have a good taste.
Okay.
Hey, so
Thank you.
let's move on to the next coffee that we were going to talk about. I think it's the Sumatra Arabica. So I believe some of you have tried it, before coming. I think Jessica has tried some of it, right? Jess?
Go.
Oh,
We can't hear her.
we still can't hear you, Jess. See.
Get to Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
So Lisa, can you talk about our Sumatra coffee? Lisa?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, it's Rebecca.
Oh,
I've been talking.
I don't know what's going on with Jessica's thing. She was unmuted, but then we still couldn't hear her. It was weird. I don't know what was happening there.
yeah.
So out of the 3 that I tried so far, the Sumatra was my favorite. So I tried the Sulawesi, which I just like. I don't really know too much about coffee. I just know that I like it and I drink it, and it basically keeps me alive. That's what I know about coffee, and I know what I like, and I know it tastes good, right? I love the smell of these. This is the Sulawesi. I love the smell of them. They're so good. But of the 3 of them, my favorite to drink was the Sumatra. Like, it's really smooth. It's just really delicious. And again, like Cassandra was saying, I'm trying it without any milk or sugar in it, just to get like the real taste of the coffee. And I could easily drink this one without anything in it because it's great.
So that's Steve's work.
I like it a lot. It's really, really good. I did this in the French press and it's like I've just gotten down to the bottom of it and I just took a swig and I had a bunch of grounds in my mouth. So I have to stop drinking it now.
Thank you. Yeah.
But it's delicious. I maybe ground it too fine. I should have kept it a bit coarser, but it's really good. The Sumatra was my favorite of the three that I tried. It was very good.
Cool. Yeah, so Steve is the one who actually roasted that one. So what
Good job.
so what we do here is like we actually invited local roasters, but then also we invited Indonesian roasters to actually do it. So then we sort of like wanting to it's like, you know, it's like a revolver. They bring all the coffee from all over the world. We bring coffee from all over Indonesia. And, you know, if possible, then we also bring coffee that roasted in Indonesia.
Can you talk a little bit about how it works with the farmers? Like how does this whole process work?
For on my end here, I've been working with them for the past, I think, 3 years, right? Like 4 years directly with the farmers. The one thing that's so great about it is because we actually get to know the farmers from one of the projects created by the Indonesian and a Canadian sort of like collaboration. So they have the project from Global Affairs Canada that actually you know, allowed the Indonesian coffee farmers, the co-op, to, you know, have the capacity building work, you know, with this funding from Global Affairs Canada. They do it through Conference Board of Canada. So then when we did our event, I think we had our event in 2018 about Indonesian specialty coffee, inviting all the farmers here, then we'll get to know them and then they get to know Canada. So with that, I think it's a really, really great way for us to start that relationship. And then, you know, it's you know, the 2018 is 17 actually, because I went to Gayo, Sumatra in 2016, and then, you know, started that connection until now. So we're very happy with the direct trade or the relationship. So we do we actually, our relationship, we are representing the farmers here. And I think in Steve's case, it's the same also. You do the direct sort of like relationship, right, Steve, with the farmers? And I think it's even more because he is based in Indonesia. Do you want to share a little bit?
Yeah, we always have a direct relationship with the farmers. And not only farmers, we also have a relationship with the collector, we call it, and also the processor, because coffee beans, you know, the coffee farmers in Indonesia are small stakeholders, you know. They only have like 2 hectares, 4 hectares, you know. From 1 hectare, they only come out only so much, only maybe less than 1 metric ton.
Yeah.
So for us, a roaster, we need more than 1 ton. So we need to have a lot of connection, not only from one farmer, but many farmers. You know that, but that's the beauty of the coffee in Indonesia. With the relation that we have, we can, you know, we can always help back to them, into the farmers, because I'm bringing my knowledge from US to Indonesia, and I'm sharing them with them how to develop a good Indonesian coffee. So I'm teaching them how to do the processing from the after the harvest, how to storage good coffee, how to ship them, and also now I'm roasting the coffee. So I need to tell them how to have a good coffee profile.
Right.
The way I can tell them how to make a good coffee profile by teaching them how to roast a sampling coffee. So that's what I'm teaching right now to. I said there are 4 group farmers right now I'm dealing right now very close. One in Java, West Java, and one in Solok, West Sumatra, and the third one in East Java, and the 4th one in Papua. I'm trying to spread out myself. I'm only myself. I cannot go too many places. So I'm just focusing on the 4 group farmers right now. That's the way I'm building my relationship with the coffee farmers and everyone in Indonesia here too, in the coffee industry.
Thank you. So Jess is ready now.
Jess, are you
Should
there?
work, I think. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so my palate wise, I do normally drink more light to medium roast, like similarly to Tom. So when I brewed the Sumatra Arabica yesterday, it did have a lot of herbal and like vegetable notes that I smelled from like the dry beans to like the whole brewing process. So I thought the taste would actually be quite dark, but when I tried it, it was actually like very easy to drink, very smooth, and I had some caramel notes to the sweetness, so that was really nice. It does still have some of the herbal taste notes that I do find like in a lot of Indonesian coffee, but there was no like really strong lingering aftertaste. It was actually really smooth, so it was good.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we have the next, the Sulawesi. And Lisa, do you want to talk about a bit the Sulawesi coffee?
Anyone tried the Sulawesi coffee at all?
I think Rebecca has.
Oh, Rebecca. Yeah.
Also, I think. Well, I mean, like I think like a lot of us all try them all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I tried the Sulawesi. It was good. I liked it. I liked it. But the Sumatra, then today when I was trying all three of them side by side, the Sumatra was my favorite.
Cassandra, like, did you like this is the first bean that you tried, the Sulawesi?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to think back because I tried it quite a while ago. I sort of in comparison. I should have made some more notes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on trying to sound intelligent on this one because I know I wrote something down, but I can't find it right now. So sorry about that.
No
I
worries.
did enjoy it. That I can confirm.
No worries. I think in my experience when I tried the Sulawesi coffee, you know, it's actually one of my favorite because it's really it has no acidity. It actually wakes me up in the morning, like, you know, like if you want to start doing something, like, you know, I got my Toraja coffee and then I know I'm set for the day. That's it's just like so you know, it has all this like a very dark chocolate taste. It's probably because the roasting profile also. I'm the second wave, you know, medium dark kind of person. So that's why I really love my Toraja coffee. In our cafe in Nusa, usually the older generation will pick up Toraja very easy. But the younger one will go with all this fruity, kind of like a medium and all that. I'm on that other class of demographic. Anyway, yeah. So, but for the farmers, our relationship with them also is really they're actually the same like what Steve also mentioned about the Indonesian coffee. 80% is actually smallholders. So the concepts for the coffee companies in Indonesia are more on, you know, you basically work with the collectors or processors, or in this case, they actually set up the co-op, like the cooperatives, like with the Gayo co-op that we actually work together. So they are he's a farmer himself, but then he actually runs the co-op. So then all the coffee with 1,800 farmers can actually, you know, they can actually be together and then export the coffee. So the Toraja de Sulawesi is the same thing also. We actually have, they have that relationship with the farmers, but the concept is a profit sharing. So there is the land, and then the farmers is actually get the 80%, 20%. That's with the Sulutko in Toraja. They're like, I think there's a certain specific mountain in Toraja is called Rante Karua, which is grown all the coffee from our producers there. So you'll see more Toraja. I think Sulawesi is not really well known yet compared to Sumatra. Sumatra is well distributed in North America, but Sulawesi it's still like really inconsistent, here and there. But hopefully it will be more because I think in the industry, in general, people they don't really want to try Indonesian coffee or to blend it because they don't know whether they're going to have it if it's not consistently available here, right? That's part of the reason why we want to actually fill that gap. We wanted to sort of like facilitate that where people will know then they can trust that we have enough supplies of Indonesian coffee in Vancouver. I'm so excited. Thank you, Steve. He's the one who's really, really great in encouraging us to. Okay.
Yeah, Bu Lisa, have you ever tried the North Sulawesi coffee? Just recently tasted the North Sulawesi coffee from Koya region. Is I get the note of palm sugar in the coffee and flowery. Yeah, palm sugar, very deep palm sugar and good mouthfeel and good body aftertaste. It's from North Sulawesi, Koya region, like closer to the Manado. That region is very small right now, but there's a good potential for the good coffee producing area there.
My parents came from the region.
Oh, from Manado?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's you should know that area.
I grew up in Jakarta, the capital. So bad. And then 20 years in Canada.
Especially in the Kota Mobagu area, closer to that area, the Modayak, they have a lot of Robusta plantation there from the Dutch colonial area.
Yeah.
That region producing a lot of good coffee usually, supposedly, but now it's been neglected so much. We need to revive them back again.
We will. Okay, David, come back to you, David.
Yeah, that's great. I guess like coffee, it's like number one beverage of Canada, and then everyone likes coffee, and mostly a lot of people like coffee. And do you actually enjoy coffee along with other like when to pair with food and anything that you usually would recommend to pair with food? I know Melody, she's a chef. And then do you actually drink coffee with anything that you pair with?
Yeah, I especially like coffee like with pastries. I feel like it's the perfect pairing. It's like the perfect palate cleanser for each other, like a bite of the pastry, a bite, and then a sip of the coffee, and it just like resets the palate really well. So like definitely pastry, anything sweet. I love having it with coffee. Actually, one of the things I wanted to ask Lisa and Steve is that I noticed that all the blends are not very acidic at all. And I personally don't like, I feel like it's a really big trend right now where there's a lot of new wave coffee blends that are a little bit more on the acidic side. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it, but the one thing I noticed about all your blends are that they're not acidic. So what is the secret behind it? And is there a reason for that?
Steve?
Who's going to answer that? Lisa?
Well, on my end, I think it's not what we offer you guys are single origin, right? So it's not a blend. So we don't really, everything comes natural, depending on the roasting profile. What I understand is I think on your side, I don't like, acidity in my coffee. That's why I choose Toraja or Sulawesi. I think there's no acidity. Cassandra, when you want to try again the Sulawesi, there is no acidity. Usually it's like that island and also Flores Island, which is the Lesser Sunda Island. That coffee is, my to-go coffee. It's just because of that. But Steve probably has more to say about it.
Okay, the acidity in Indonesia coffee is not that high actually. Usually we can find it medium to low, especially on Sumatra. For Sulawesi, sometimes we can find a quite medium to high acidity, also within the West Java coffee. But as a roaster, I can always balance that acidity with the other profile, let's say for the on the body or on the sweetness. You know, it depends on the technique how you roast the coffee. I would say if I would like to push the acidity in the coffee bean, I like to stretch the roasting development beans longer. There's a technique I wrote in my book. It's about santuy, means slow roasting process. So that's with that technique, I can balance the profile of acidity and transform it into sweetness and the other profile of in the coffee. And that goes along if you like to brew the coffee black, you don't want to have a high acidity. That's how I roast the coffee for the dripper, type of equipments. But depends on the things. We can always highlight certain things as a roaster. But Indonesian coffee, I will back again about the Indonesian coffee beans. Most of Indonesian coffee beans are medium to low acidity.
Thank you. Yeah, because yeah, I'm kind of like Rebecca. I really like drinking coffee, but I'm not that I don't know that much about the processing. So the acidity you're saying that is usually depends the way that it's processed contributes to the acidity. Is that what you're saying?
The roasting.
What's the beza? Gimana, Bu?
I think Melody is asking about the acidity of the coffee, and I think it will be depending on the processing. My roasting, sorry, it's actually depending on the roasting profile, right? But
okay.
Yeah, it depends. Well, started from the beans. Acidity in the coffee beans started from when the farmer harvests the beans. Actually, it started from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and each region Indonesia has different kind of characteristics. Some has a thicker body, some has a more acidity, some less flavor, some higher on the left flavor. And the farmers pick how the farmers pick the beans pick the cherry at the right time. If the farmer pick the cherry, at the young stage, not too red or not too, still yellow, the acidity will come out a little bit higher sometimes,
Yeah.
But it depends also from the farmer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we need to control that acidity from the beginning of the stage in the processing of the beans, from the plantation to the roaster, and how to brew the coffee beans. It's all taking parts of how we are gonna handle the acidity in the coffee drink.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, that's very good to learn.
Thank you, Melody.
So any more assessment? I would like to ask Tom or Jess, how do you assess this coffee? As we the trend of coffee culture right now, and then what do you think about the coffee that we're tasting today?
I'll let Jess start this one.
Where is Arita?
Mostly because I get to watch her awkwardly get her headset out and, us just sort of sit and stare at her.
Okay, that's very kind. So the question is, how do we assess these coffee beans in comparison to the current trend of fourth wave, I guess it would be? Well, what I from Tom from all the cuppings is the best coffee is the one you like to drink. So even though it might not be my personal preference just because I like lighter roast, it's definitely Melody really likes darker coffees with low acidity versus myself and Tom might like higher lighter roasts with higher acidity. So I think it's different for everyone. I just think that everyone has their own preference in roasting, and I think it's cool that Indonesian coffee has that very distinct characteristic. you kind of know when you're about to brew it that you're going to get that nutty chocolate caramelized herbal kind of coffee, and a lot of people do like and look for those notes. Similarly to Tom, I think it'll be interesting to find a different way of processing the same type of beans to see the differences. Might be a future coffee event idea, Tom. I don't know. But yeah, back to you, Tom.
Yeah, so can we revisit the question? Because I'm not sure I really understand what that question is. Are you asking like how do we work out what the right coffee is to drink at the right time? Or I'm not entirely sure I understand it.
Just that, I just want to just kind of like give us, because we're like a lot of us actually learning quite a bit today. I just want to see because we're learning about the Indonesian coffee. We also want to learn about, the trend right now, and then how do you, how do we, so what's the trend right now? And then how do we, what do people like to drink? And then how do you sort of compare like the coffee that, the Indonesian coffee you try into like that trend, right? And then is it actually sort of, it's actually a part of that trend, or is it actually something that's different, something that's actually unique, I just want to, it's kind of like my question,
So that was like 10 questions, and I'm going to try and answer as many of them as possible there. Stop me if I'm going off on a tangent here and I'm not answering the right questions. But I going by trends that are in existence at the moment, I don't really pay much attention to trends of darker roast to kind of dark medium. It's medium and lighter is what I look at. Specifically, I've been focusing on medium roast coffee at the moment. I'd say to kind of understand what the trends are, there's a bunch of different kind of variables in different places that you can go to. Forums on the internet, websites like Sprudge, Perfect Daily Grind, Barista Magazine, all have kind of think pieces on different types of coffee. And you kind of work out what you do and you don't like. So Melody, for example, you say you don't like acidic coffee. You wouldn't really care for the weird kind of processing methods that bring out those brighter light flavors. Kind of as a side comment there, acidic coffee isn't necessarily all bad. There's like good acidic and bad acidic. Just like with food, you can have too much lemon in a dish, like too much lemon. But that right amount of acidity then brings out all the other flavors in a coffee. So it doesn't necessarily mean that acidic coffee is bad. You just might have had some really bad acidic coffees. One of the things that I probably do myself to understand what are the trends and what are the coffees to try is I look at who is roasting really great coffee, and I kind of dig into what they're doing. So a good example of really light coffee is a company called Luna, and Luna specialize in bright, really fruity, really vibrant coffees. They don't go anywhere near them. They might go near a medium roast, but they probably don't even do that. It's all light roast kind of stuff. And then I dig into, what are they doing? What kind of roasting methods are they using, or where are they getting their beans, and what might be interesting to me, and what kind of flavor notes come out. And then I go, oh, okay, well, it was an anaerobic fermentation. What does that mean? Let's look into what happened when that coffee was being picked to when it ended up in their roastery. And there's all this stuff that can be done to it. And then you've got like the other end of things. You've got people like House of Funk in North Van, and they're doing stuff like barrel aging coffees. They have a coffee that was fermented with, I want to say dried mandarin peels. Oh, there you go. Like Jess has got some right now. I think that's the wine barrel aged one.
Okay.
So they've kind of, the mandarin one's almost like cheating. They've infused mandarin flavor into the bean. So that kind of stuff is like the bleeding edge of weird coffee, let's call it. They did one that tasted like whiskey. It was actually a bit too intense for me. It was light and it was bright, but it was such a punch of whiskey flavor. and they put it in bourbon barrels. They left the green coffee in bourbon barrels for a few months, and then they roasted it, and it had the flavor of whiskey. So there's all this like there's all these different variables that you can look at and kind of form your own opinion. But then to bring it back to that last question and like comparing it to what we've got right now, one of the things I quite like about these coffees that we've drunk over the last day, over the last few hours, sorry, is the simplicity of them. You're not trying to do weird stuff. You're not trying to make it taste like, I don't know, tangerines and melon and that kind of stuff. These are solid coffees that appeal to way more people than something that tastes like whiskey or something that tastes like mandarins. I feel like that was a lot of talking. I don't know if I answered all your questions there.
Oh, that answered my question. It's I just because I might know a little bit more about food other than just coffee, but then it's just like it's the same thing. Like if you're enjoying the certain cuisine, and then you can actually be really passionate about it, or you can be passionate about all cuisine, and then not to but you still probably sometimes want to pick a favorite, a cuisine, right? So, but that's just I think that's what it is. Just coffee. It's just there's so many different types, and then I just want to know that what's the trend right now. But let's say there's like a food trend right now going on, or a coffee trend, or whatever, and then at the end of the day, and everyone's still enjoying what they enjoy the most. So I think that answered my question.
I would love to try a coffee that tastes like whiskey, to be honest with you. That's fascinating. I think that's so fascinating. And it seems like almost it's in parallel with kind of like what's going on in the wine and spirits industry right now, where people are doing all these really cool, like bourbon barrel aged red wines, or like Long Table, who's doing a super cool like bourbon barrel age. They're doing all these spirits, but then they're aging them. Like, I love that idea. So I'd be totally down for that, to be honest with you. I think that's amazing. Super cool.
Well, what it's doing is it's taking something that people understand, and everybody knows what coffee is, and it's then it's taking it to the next level. It's what you can make a burger, or you can make a pasta dish, but people have gone, well, that's not good enough. We want to do some weird stuff with it. We want to make it taste really interesting. And to be honest, not all of them work. Like I said, the whiskey barrel one was, I found a way to make it nice, but it involved maple syrup and oat milk. But on its own, it was perhaps just a bit too intense for me. It was such a punch in the face of flavor. I loved every second of it, but it was just not one of those things. It's like, I don't know, for those of you that drink beer, I really like stouts, but if you have an imperial stout that's like 10% alcohol, it's nice in like glasses like that big, but I couldn't drink a whole pint of it. That would be my kind of comparison there.
Awesome.
And I also just wanted to add, because Tom mentioned Barista Magazine, but I think one of the trends in like specialty coffee in general is just that like there's so many different ways to brew the same coffee. So recently, because this year, one of my goals is just trying to learn a little bit more about how different processes and everything kind of tie into different coffees. So in the recent Barista Magazine, someone published this like coffee compass. I thought was really cool. So it's just different ways of dialing in coffee. So if you find the coffee is a bit sour and weak, then they recommend grinding a little bit finer. If you find it bitter, then maybe brew it at a lower temperature. If it's bitter and strong, grind a little coarser and try again. Like there's different ways of dialing in the same coffees, which I think is really interesting because you can have the same coffee and you could brew it stronger if you like the stronger tasting notes. And if you like lighter and if you want to bring out more floral notes, there's different ways to do that too. So I think that's really interesting, and just like you can have different cups of coffees from the same beans. So I'm interested to actually try more of these coffees that we have today and just trying to brew them different ways to see if I can bring out notes that like I prefer over others and see how that goes.
Wow.
Jess has hit a really interesting point here. I've done some experimentation with this. I did two V60 filters, the kind of cone filters that go on top of a jug or cup or whatever. Same filters, same coffee, same kettle of water, and I brewed them at the exact same time. And the only thing that I did different with them is one click. I got a grinder, and you turn the hopper on the top, and it gets coarser or finer. I did one click, and I brewed the coffee in exactly the same way, just with one click difference. There was a massive difference between the two coffees. One was kind of flat. One had all these amazing fruit flavors and bright notes and all that kind of stuff. And for that reason, it's an amazingly cool but very frustrating part of coffee. And that's why what Jess has there, that kind of that guide on what to do if you want to bring out certain flavors, is such an important thing, because it can be, there's like a million different variables, and it can be really confusing and really over the top. So I actually haven't seen that, so I'm gonna have to look into that, because that will be even useful for me, who's been brewing coffee for ages.
I'm not going to share because Tom and I are competitors in a game called Leaderboard right now. So.
Oh, you mean the game that I'm going to win?
No, I'm not going to share so that I can win.
There's a, so this is completely hijacking this, by the way, but there's a game called Leaderboard Coffee right now. And it's just a box full of coffee that they send you, and you have to work out what the coffees are inside of it. And there's like 10 different coffees. And then when I win, I'm going to throw it in Jess's face.
No wonder. Oh, good timing. I'd like to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send me a message. I don't want to hijack this. This is not about Leaderboard Coffee right now. But send me a DM on Instagram or something like that. I'll send you some photos. I'll tell you all about it.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. I think
we still have actually like, a lot of other coffees. So if you're actually interested to trying the coffee, just let Lisa know, and she will, like let you sample.
Yeah, I'll send some samples to you guys.
The question, or we can have Steve to answer the questions. We can actually relay the question to Steve, or you can actually contact Steve. I'm probably going to share like his Instagram, later on. And then if you want to contact Steve or contact Lisa, and then just let me know. So Lisa, anything that you want to?
I just want to thank you. I know we're over time a little bit here, but I'm so grateful. You guys are so great. Thank you, everyone. I think it's been really, I've learned so much about your feedback about Indonesian coffee, and I definitely wanting to have more medium roast profile for Tom, so then he can talk more about our coffee. Okay, Steve, that's our homework actually.
Yeah, I already put right down in my notes here, especially for Tom, medium to light, especially light, the light things. Big light.
Don't do anything for me. Out of all the people that are on this call right now, I know least. I just like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
So, and that's good for sharing the trend of in the coffee industry there, in the coffee drinking there. It's also in Indonesia. I would like to add that thing, the barrel coffee things is already started already in Indonesia also. Many farmers and many processors also doing that things. We serve the coffee in the barrels. But that technique actually started from long way ago in Indonesia, from the Dutch colonial area, because back then the Dutch bring the coffee from Indonesia to the Europe in the barrel. That's why they got the idea, So when they keep in the coffee in the barrel, they come out different than the way they taste it in Indonesia direct. So that idea, so they started long ago, what 200 years ago actually.
That's really cool. I like this happens in food as well, that someone will kind of dig out an idea from hundreds of years ago and go, let's give it a try. And they do it and it works really well. And they kind of bring it back into the spotlight. So some other homework for you is to find out what other things that people haven't cottoned onto yet and bring those back out and start doing those.
Sure, yeah. There's another thing also I know started already. They fermented the coffee in the closed container without any air exchange. So they let all the bacteria inside not to be exposed with the other bacteria outside. They call it the anaerobic fermentation. So sometimes some farmers infuse other fruits. I say you call it tangerine or citrus or even papaya inside the container. That technique also developing also in Indonesia. We still, still just going on about 2 years now in Indonesia. But that things are, we trying to catch up with the demand, with the trend from overseas also. That's what's happening also in Indonesia.
I would love to try that. I had one this past year with mandarin I mentioned earlier. Mandarin infused coffee, and I would definitely try something with papaya or any other fruit, because the mandarin one was incredible.
Yes, yeah. Some people also there's some farmers they use alcohol inside. They put alcohol or sometimes CO2, gas CO2, that will preserve the coffee and just focusing on some certain flavor, fruitiness in the coffee beans. That there's so many kind of coffee processing right now going on in Indonesia also.
Cool.
Thank you for sharing, guys. And Jess also, and she shared like one coffee bean you can have like different ways to try to get the best of the different flavors. It's good. That's really good. And then Melody, and she's a pastry chef and definitely have her point of view of coffee. And thank you, Rebecca. And definitely. We're going to have everyone try more coffee in the future. So this is just volume 1. So we think of some other fun topic to talk about next time. So
this has been so extremely educational. Thank you so much, Lisa and Steve. Learned so much today, and everybody actually.
Thank you so
much. I would like to add something, Lisa, if I may. I just want to share. If you guys wanna brew, just okay coffee. Come out really good, use a lower temperature of the water.
Okay.
And so, any coffee with a lower temperature, let's say under 90 or 89 degrees of Celsius, it come out really okay, acceptable to drink. That's the rule of thumb. I can give it to you guys.
So I can actually add to this. When I cupped these earlier, I did a temperature of about 97. When I brewed this, I brewed it with a Espero Bloom. I did 87, and it was better at a lower temperature. I think that's the lighter roasts typically seem to work for me at a higher temperature, and then the darker stuff goes lower.
Oh, okay, good to know. All right, everybody, all's good. Thank you so much. We hope to see you in the next ones. We will brewing something here for the Indonesian coffee, so then you'll get to know more about the beans from Indonesia. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Take care.